Welcome to Academic Village, and I am Abbas Isiaka, your host here in the village. In 2025, I was awarded the Leverhulme Trust Early Career Fellowship. So, in this video, I'm going to be sharing my experience of applying for the fellowship. I will take you through what the panel is really looking for in your application, the application timeline, the value of the fellowship, and what does Leverhulme mean by early career status, and how to put forward a quality application. So if you find videos like this really helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so that others could benefit from loads of content I have on this platform. So come with me. And I'm going to start with a very hard truth, as I usually do on this series, is that Leverhulme is interested in people. Uh, it funds people, and it's not a soft option when you've missed out on, say, the UKRI fellowships and all that. But and that's because the success rate for this fellowship is about 5 to 15% or 10 to 15% annually. And every year you see outstanding applicants are rejected because they misunderstand one particular issue, and that is Leverhulme is not primarily funding project, it's funding people with intellectual promise. So if you approach this fellowship like a standard research grant, then you are already at a disadvantage. So this is something you want to bear in mind as we get started. It's not really interested in project, but much more interested in people. So it's a people focused fellowship. Now, and as well, Leverhulme, unlike the UKRI, the British Academy, or the Wellcome Trust, Leverhulme takes a unique funding position within the funding architecture of the UK, as it supports fundamental curiosity-driven research across three major disciplines, or across major disciplines, or all major disciplines, as they say, and that would be sciences, humanities, and social sciences, without any predetermined outcomes or strategic priority in mind. So there is this prioritization of intellectual risk taking and a novel approach to um, doing research rather than a guaranteed outcome or measurable impact in a way. So, and it operates outside the dominant funding fashions that you would see, and that's to enable research that may not align with the current policy debate or momentum or societal trends. So it's really focused about some marginal ideas, conceptually motivated inquiry, and that has sort of transformative potential. So this is where Leverhulme is when you look at the funding architecture of the UK Research Council. So it's not really interested in largely impact. It's not impact oriented. It's more about ideas and groundbreaking, path breaking ideas, if you like. So this is the logic of this funder, and you want to go in understanding this. Now let's look at the value of the fellowship. Leverhulme, based on the 2026 guideline for the application, it offers a structured salary support system, and that is designed to support or provide stability and encourage research excellence. So in the first year of the fellowship, the trust covers 100% of the fellows total. So this is a new thing. Usually it used to be 50-50%, 50-50 across the 3 years. But now in 2026, they were even saying, okay, they want to cover 100% of the funding in the first year. And that's up to a maximum of 56,000 per year. And this full coverage ensures that the fellow can focus entirely on their research without financial concerns during the initial phase. And for the second and third years, the trust contributes 50% and of the fellow's salary, and the university contributes 50%. So this is why at every point in the university has to make commitment of their matched funding. So as you are being nominated to apply for the Leverhulme Fellowship, university is making a commitment to pay 50% of your salary. So this is where the commitment comes in. And the other part of it, or the other bit, is the research expenses, which is also to allow you to be able to conduct research. If your work is say you have a huge field work element in your proposal, there is a pot of money, about £6,000 per year, that you could use for research costs, say travel, conferences, consumables, or research assistance. So, and also you can roll over your funds. Let's say, for instance, in the first year you use just 5k of your funding of your research expenses. You are able to roll on 1k, or even if you've used 4k, you can roll on 2k and add that to your next year research expense. The duration of the fellowship is 36 months, but you can do this in part-time as well. That means then you have an extended number of years or months to do the work. But it's 36 months, and that's 3 years. So this is the framework, the structure of the fellowship, and this is how the support is in terms of funding and all that. And also, Leverhulme allows you to move institutions, so you can move your fellowship at a point in time, and that would be usually if there's a need for it. Maybe you've gotten a permanent academic position, or you're moving for a tenable reason, and you can only do that when it's you've spent 1 year already on your fellowship. So after 1 year, you are able to move your fellowship to a different institution, who would then be your host and take responsibility for the 50% contribution. So now let's look at what the panel is really interested in. So when they read your application, they filter your application through one judgment, and this through one lens. And this lens is that they are asking themselves, is this a promising independent scholar whose best work is still very much ahead of them? So they are interested in the potentialities, the potential that you bring or that you have as a scholar. So they use this lens to read your project, to weigh your publications, and also to understand how your host institution is going to support that development. So the methods, the outputs, the timelines are really important, but only in so far as they support the core judgment, which is, do they contribute to your trajectory as a scholar? Are you able to develop and grow in this process? So this is what's really key. And they're evaluating your potential, your trajectory, and the capacity to sustain your intellectual leadership. So every element of your application, as you prepare your proposal, your research plans, your publication records, and your reference letter, should be forward looking in a way and show that yes, you really have that capacity, and you are evolving a capacity that is fundable and investable. So this is what you want to put forward in you want to see. They want to see across every element of your application. Okay, another thing is, what does the early career in the Leverhulme Trust Early Career Fellowship really mean? Does it mean inexperienced? And this is where many applicants go wrong. Leverhulme does not define early career as inexperienced or lightly published or still dependent on supervision or supervisors. But the guidance on this application is really explicit on this element of what is early career. What does it mean? And it says applicant must show a proven record of research with evidence that their work is moving beyond their doctorate. So that's it. So they want to see that transitional momentum of you, or tempo of you becoming an independent scholar. And that means maybe you've published a couple of papers or book chapters, or you've done or contributed to a number of projects as well. So this is you showing the panel that you have a clear intellectual trajectory, and you're evolving your scholarly confidence, you're demonstrating your own scholarly voice. And in that case, you want to make sure that your proposal is not reading like a reworked or a quickly a fast food version of your PhD chapter, or maybe it's an idea that been driven or led by a supervisor. So this is what you want to show. Yes, you need a number of publications. At least in some institutions, we say you need at least 2 or 3 peer-reviewed publications before they can nominate you, because it is very competitive. So they want to put forward the best. So if you're thinking of applying for this fellowship, before that time, start making sure that start preparing to get this publication requirement in place, and that's it. And so now let's look at what really makes a strong Leverhulme project. What do we mean by, and what do I mean by strong Leverhulme project? Because most of the applications that are coming in for the Leverhulme are actually quality applications, because they've gone through internal sifting before they are submitted. So you can imagine a number of universities or faculties looking at individual applications before saying, okay, we're going to put forward X number of applications for this fellowship. So all applications that are coming are really strong. But then this is where the competitiveness comes in. Now let's look at the first element of the first feature of what does a strong application look like. Number one, as I've mentioned earlier on, it is the idea that drives the Leverhulme project. You want to make sure that your project or proposal is conceptually driven. There is a clear conceptual problem that you're trying to address. The idea is there, not essentially the method. The method is fine, even if it is experimental. I mean, experimental in a way, or trying to be interdisciplinary in a way. But then you want to be sure that your project is conceptually driven. There's something really clear that you are interested in developing. You want to develop an idea. You are intellectually puzzling what it's dominant in the field, and you're interrogating that. So they like to see this bit of, okay, path breaking idea and norm deviating ideas within the field. And that's what of course, it doesn't have to be an entirely new idea, but it's built on what you know, based on your PhD or what you've developed, or the voice the scholarly idea you've been thinking of exploring over time. So this is where your idea should really come through. Another thing is Leverhulme really likes projects where the outcome is not fully predictable, the contribution is potentially significant, and also there is risk but realistic. So they want risky but realistic projects. So you acknowledge that, okay, yes, there is risk in this project, or there are a lot of things that you have to manage in this project, but they are all manageable within the timeline. And again, being bold. So there is an element of being bold in your project. They want you to come up with bold ideas that you might not be able to push on funders, or with funders like UKRI or Leverhulme Trust. And again, they have a signal telling you that they are not really interested in studies that are focusing on diseases, illnesses, and disabilities in humans and animals that are intended to inform clinical practice or development of medical applications. So these are the no-go area for Leverhulme. So if you have this kind of project, you have to find a way to show that yes, well, even if you are doing something related to disabilities in humans, but it has to be embedded in a different frame that is not being covered by UKRI or Leverhulme Trust. I think that's really the essence of this cautionary phrase. So this is what you want to push forward. Don't be realistic, be risky, but be realistic, and at the same time, don't delve into crowded area. If you realize that your project is better funded by UKRI Welcome Trust, then go to those places rather than wasting your time with Leverhulme application. Another thing is the idea should be clearly yours. So they want to see that independence coming in, the intellectual independence coming through in your application. They want to see that yes, it's built on what you've done over time, what you've developed on your PhD, and at the same time, you must be the driver of this intellectual journey, and that's how are you, where is your long-standing interest in this area, and how you've been able to connect what you've done, say, in the past 10 years in relation to what you're planning to do for the next 5 to 10 years. So that connection must be there. And when you claim originality, you also have to situate that within the existing field and why your work is sort of contributing or adding to what's being said or what's not being said in the field. So now let's look at another important element that I think it's really key if you want to, when you're preparing your application. It's thinking about the host. The host is that environment, is that place where Leverhulme really cares a lot about, and they're asking, will this institution protect your time as a fellow? Is there an intellectual space for you to grow? And also, is the host a strategic fit, or it's just a matter of convenience? So you need to be sure that yes, this place is the best place for this project, and this mentor is the best person to support you as well. So that's why your host must be committed to your development. They must understand the Leverhulme's values, and they are ready to treat you as a colleague, as an emerging colleague, not just cheap labor. So they sort of be ready to help you grow as a scholar. I think this is really what Leverhulme appreciates, and that's why the 50-50% funding arrangement is being designed to ensure commitment from the institution. Now let's look at the application timeline, and I will take you through the 4 phases of the application and how you can get through this as soon as possible. So I will start with the first phase, which is any time between May to October. That's the first phase, and this is the phase where institutions will put out calls for expression of interest for anyone who is planning to apply for the Leverhulme Fellowship. And you apply through those institutions. You send your CV and your proposal. They verify and they say, okay, if you're a good fit for them, and they also ask you why do you think they're a good fit for your project. So you demonstrate that in your expression of interest, and if you're shortlisted, then fine. So in this case, you can apply to many institutions at this point in time to be your host. Just a matter of you convincing them or letting them know why they are good. So if you've got 2 or more offers, so you can decide which one you want to go for at that point. So at this point, this is when you just send out your proposal to universities who might be interested in nominating you. And I think every institution has their own internal sifting process. So you need to be on the lookout. You can check jobs.ac.uk, you can check the institutional website or where they post their jobs, and you see when they make a call for Leverhulme. And some don't even publicize it that much because they have a lot of interest within the university, within their university. So you have to really be, if you're keen about a particular institution, you have to be there watching and see, have someone on the inside to help you, to send you the call for expression of interest when it is live. So this is something you need to work on. Confirm your own eligibility, secure host institution, and that's through the internal sifting process. And also use this time to develop your proposal, because of course you sent your proposal to the institution, and then once they say, yeah, this is a good one, then you keep working on it, speaking to a lot of people as much as possible, people that have applied before, or seniors or mentors who could help you refine your ideas, challenge it before you even submit for the full submission. And Now, the second phase is the point where you have to really engage with the institution when you're actively preparing your application. And I should say that the application system opens on the 1st of January of every year in most cases. So between November and January is when you start actively working on your proposal, getting your referees in place. And to also note that you need 3 referees, one from at least one from the host institution and 2 from outside of the institution. So you need to find 3 people who could write references for you. And I usually for my application I used my 2 external examiners and my mentor. So those are the 3 people who wrote references for me. So you need to find people who could, we have your project. You send them your proposal, your CV, and then let them engage with those 2, and they will use that to inform or shape what they write about you. So strong references are really encouraged. And so this is what you do in this process: get the referees in, let them know what deadline is, because they have to send in their references by the 19th of February. So it's really important they are really aware of the deadline and what they are requested to do and how they are going to submit their references, because I think they need to log onto the website as well to the portal to submit their references. So you need to get them through this process early on before the deadline, so that they can be in the right shape when it's time to submit. And also you need an institutional approval. So there's someone within the university, the host institution, that will need to approve your project. So you need to really speak to them, and this is the person you most likely be communicating with, and that will be from the research office. They will help you with your budget and everything that you might need within the institution. So these are really the engagement phase. And then the last phase, second to the last phase, is the submission phase, which is when the deadline, you have to be aware of the deadline, which is the 19th of February in most cases. For 2026 is 19th of February 2026. And you review your application, get the approval, make sure that everyone has submitted what is requested. You've uploaded your research proposal, all supporting documents have been uploaded, your CV and everything it's there already. So and then just a matter of you submitting before the deadline. And if there's anything missing, they will usually write to you. So this phase is more like time management, making sure that everything gets in before the deadline. And the last phase is just the post submission, which is you waiting for the good news. And if you do not hear anything by the end of May 2026, that means you've been unsuccessful. So this is the time to start planning and preparing for the next steps. Working on your contingency plan and also keeping communication with the host. So let me quickly take you through what the application form looks like. This is my application form. This is one I use for my application, and you have just basic applicant details, the biography, the address, and all that. And then the next one would be your career details, more like you producing your CV, but you want to see where you've worked, the years, the position you held, and your responsibility in most cases, your degrees, from and the degrees you've had, the subject, the class, the institution, and also your doctorate thesis. You want to be sure that it's been submitted at least before the deadline, and you've done your vival. And they might even ask you about who your supervisors are to be sure that they are not your mentor. And also they want to know if you've had any postdoctoral positions in the past, if you've held any position more than 3 years, or permanent position, or you've been able to do an individual research at a point. So these are the things they would definitely want to ask you in this section. And this is where they check your eligibility to be sure that yes, you are the right candidate for this fellowship. And after that, you then have the core element of the form, which is, yeah, there is a widening participation statement where you just state, okay, if you've had any widening participation issue, probably you've had a career break or you've been structurally disadvantaged in a way. So this is where you state this element. Just try to be as factual as possible if you've had any hindrance in your career development and why you might not have, produced or progressed as one would expect in a similar situation. And also, if there's anything else you want to bring to the attention of the committee, this is also where you can use the space to add any extra detail you want to add, and that's what I did for my work as well. So if there's anything you really want to put in and you can't really put in anywhere in the proposal, you can bring it to that space and use it. Another thing is another bit is I'm just trying to get my the abstract. The abstract is really key. It's the first thing they will read in your proposal in your application. And when I was preparing my application, my mentor told me that make sure you write your abstract in a way that is legible to someone in chemistry. So if you are in the social sciences and you're writing your abstract, try it's 100-word abstract. And it took me about 3 days to be able to come together and say, succinctly put my idea in 100 words to convey what the project, to summarize the project, which is really difficult. It's a matter of you just trying, you're trying to be sure that every non-expert could read this abstract and understand what you're trying to do. And then you also want to see what your detail of current and past research project had been and how your thinking has evolved over time. So you want to make connection between what you've done in the past and what you're currently doing and what the fellowship would add to those things. So this is where you want to show that connection. Another thing is your detailed statement of proposed research. So this is where you upload your proposal, about 2-page proposal, and there are specifications on the word count, the font, and everything. So you can see that in the guidance. And here you have to be really economical with words. Try to get the right ideas. You do a bit of introduction. You don't really need a long literature review. You don't even need much of that. You can do literature review in your introduction, and then you have the methods, the timeline, anticipated impact if you have, and then references. So these are the core sections that you want to put into your proposed research or your proposal. And then major publications. And also there is a guideline on how to put forward your publication. So they are really interested in these different stages of publication. They want to see if you have any publication in draft, if you have any publication under review, if you have any publication that have been published. So you can put this in different section and let them see how your publishing process is sort of growing and evolving. So this is what you want to this is where you put that through. And what duration are you interested in? How long would the fellowship be? Why is the host department the best place to do this project? And what about the mentor? And so every other thing is that you just need to do to try to convince that yes, this place is the best place to do your research. And every other thing you see, all these ones are just basic. And then the research budget, I really want to advise that you really work early on the budget. In fact, the first thing to think, as soon as you have been confirmed that you are going to be nominated for fellowship, for this fellowship through the institution, you want to quickly work on your budget. Map out your budget. How are you going to spend the 18K for the 3 years? What you want to do, and that, because that will definitely shape your proposal, the timeline of your proposal, what you want to prioritize. So this is really important as well. So, and you want to justify the value for money. You don't just want to put out things on that paper and not get it. So you want to show that yes, this is a really important costing that you've done. It could be from experience or from a lot of quotations you've received or you've seen outside there, and that will help you guide the timeline of your work. What element, if you're doing field work, how much money are you allocating to that bit if you develop it. So these are the things you want to clarify early on as you prepare your proposal. And now the last bit is the salary. I think this part is not really your responsibility. It's going to come mostly um, from the school, so they really want to work on this bit. So the head of school in most cases will be the one to write all of this salary structure and estimate and all that. So you don't really need to worry too much about this. You see that when the application is ready and they fill it in their own element, their own part of the form. So as you can see now, there is the institutional, there is the head of school, there is you, there is references, there are referees. Uh, so you need to make sure that everyone is really on board and you're keeping them abreast of what is happening on the form and the stage at which it is. Now, let's quickly look at why strong applications still get rejected, and I'm going to go through the common pitfalls. And number one is, as you can see from the guidance, you have to show a demarcation or a transition from what you did from your PhD to what you're planning to do for the fellowship. So there must be that sense of a new direction. Essentially, that's what I was going to say. And then the independence has to be there. You have to see that yes, this is an idea you evolve in yourself, not supervisor driven. And your methods well developed. You look at the overarching aim of the project, and every research question is well attended to through your method. So they want to see that okay, for every research method, you are able to put forward a convincing, a suitable method to address those questions, and don't develop an unrealistic project for it's 36 months. So you have to make sure it's feasible within and stays within the timeline. And the host said it, the environment is really important. You have to make sure it's not generic. It's not just okay for the sake of convenience. You have to convince them that yes, this place is the best place to do the project. And the next thing is asking this question: is Leverhulme the right one for you? It is going to be a good fit if your idea is, or if you are conceptually driven, you're really interested in developing concept theoretically or empirically, and you are really you need time to think. You want that 3 years to be able to evolve and develop your thinking about a particular idea, and this is why you this is why Leverhulme is, and you're ready to put in the work. So it might not necessarily be. And people might ask you, what's the essence of this project? That's so it's that kind of feeling you want to get. Not essentially, oh yeah, we can easily see that quick impact or element of it. But it's really detailed, difficult work. It's not immediately yielding any impact, but when you look at it in the long term, there's something to look forward to. So that's the kind of project you want to put forward for Leverhulme, and you are developing a distinctive scholarly identity. So this is also where one thing that I want to see, or you are if this is something you're interested in, then Leverhulme is for you, and you just want time to think. Do fundamental research, go back to the basics if you like, and I think that's also one thing. Well, if you are looking for a large research teams you want to manage, you've got a lot of things going on, and you're looking for a level, this is not the right funding for you. Or if you need infrastructure to be able to do a lot of things, or you have to say fabricate or develop new infrastructure, then you probably have to go to Wellcome Trust or ESRC or any of the ESPRC, where you could get a bigger grant to do those things. Or if you're really keen about immediate, on this element about seeking immediate policy impact, you can build impact into your work, but it doesn't have to probably say 25% or even 20% of the project should be, but the entire project should not be about impact oriented or impact led project. I think that's what I'm trying to say here. So you definitely, my research work has an impact element in it. In fact, I've got a lot of policy engagement, but I'm not making that the focus of the project. So there is the intellectual element where I have to go to the archives, you have to interview people, do ethnographies. So this is this is a bulk of the project, and the addition to that project is the impact elements that I'm really interested in. And I've said again that they're not really interested in any clinical adaptation or whatever. So if this is something you're looking for, then you might want to go to Welcome Trust or ESRC also. So this is just my say framework to help you understand if this fellowship is for you or if it is not the right call for you. And lastly, in the next video, I'm going to be looking at the UKRI fellowships to see which one might look at deadlines and look at which one is really useful that you can work on. And if you really need any comments or you want further clarification on these, you can drop me comments on YouTube or send me messages on LinkedIn as well. I'm able to attend to these queries regarding the Leverhulme Early Career Fellowship. And if this has helped you see Leverhulme Trust Fellowship more clearly, so please like, share, and subscribe to Academic Village. And I will see you on the flip side. Thank you.